Hey everybody, welcome back to Brent's Backyard Redneckery. You know, I bought a bushel of apples not too long ago, and I made some new apple pie filling to hand out to family and friends and eat myself, of course. But I had half a bag left and I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I decided to make some apple butter using an old family recipe. It's really not that difficult to make apple butter. Really, it's not a lot to it at all. Take your apples, cook them up, smash them up, add some spices, sugars, blah, blah, blah. There you go. You got your apple butter. So today what I'm going to do is show you how I make my apple butter and how exactly to get it canned and everything like that. So get ready. I'll tell you what you need to do. Let's get into it. We have a plethora of ingredients for this apple butter, everything from apples to apple cider, all of our spices, some brown sugars and sugars. So let's go ahead and get all this stuff together and get rolling. Before you cut up your apples and cook them, make sure they don't have any kind of film on them like this. I was picking these up and it feels real waxy. I guess it's whatever they coated them with at the store so they wouldn't go bad on the shelf. But yeah, I'm gonna put these in some water, clean them off with a little bit of soap and water, and then rinse them off. And then we'll cut them up and get started. So all I'm gonna do is take these, put my soapy water on there. Whenever you clean them off, you can feel that the wax covering is gone. Like it's kind of almost sticky in your fingers before you clean it off, and then not quite after. So if you do have any kind of coating on there, make sure to clean it off. A rag will work just fine. I'm just using a friggin' paper towel and it's working fine with soap on it. So, hey, whatever works, man. All right, so since we're able to cook everything, I'm just going to use this guy. I'm just going to take each one of these apples, and they're tough apples, like super hard. I don't know if that's because they're so small or what it is, but they're not really easy to get through like yellow or golden delicious. They're a little bit tougher. So I'm going to get it out of there. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop all these up. And what we'll do is get them in here and we'll end up putting in our cider and our vinegar and some other stuff and start cooking it down. All right, so I had way too many apples to fit in my normal pot, so I had to get out my 7-gallon pot, and I'm gonna have to cook these outside because this is not equipped to cook on a glass top stove. So before we take this out there, I'm gonna go ahead and add in my 2 cups of cider, and then I've got to add in 2 cups of white vinegar, and then I can take it outside and set it on the grill. And I'm going to stick a thermometer in there. I'll probably check it every 30 minutes because it'll take it a while to get up to temperature. We're up at a high heat. I've just started this up, so it's going to take it a little while to start cooking down. Can't really stir it up yet because the liquid's only about that deep. I'll be able to start crushing it up here in a minute with my meat crusher. And then once it starts cooking down and falling apart, we can take it in and move on to the next step. All right, so this is boiling, and this is starting to get nice and soft. So it's been cooking for about 30 minutes. So I think we're good on 30 minutes in the time. If you decide that you want to make this, it'll be roughly about 30 minutes with the grill on pretty hot. Inside, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit different, but probably about 30 minutes still once it's up and boiling. And once I finish crushing this stuff up, we'll take it in, stick it in the blender, puree it. All right, I have got this in the house. I've crushed it a little bit more with my meat smasher. Jeez, it's still steaming. Oh, crazy. So I'm just going to take that and put it over here in the food processor and see if we can't get that as fine as possible and then push it through a sieve. So since this thing likes to leak, I'm not going to put a whole lot in at first. Maybe about 3 spoonfuls. It's not full of liquid though because it's mostly been absorbed. So I'm hoping that it doesn't make a huge mess. Yeah, I think we'll be all right. So I'm just going to get all this blended out and then I'll show you how it's looking when I'm done. Here's what we're looking at after about 2 minutes on high, just running the motor full tilt. And that's about our consistency. This is what we're looking like after running it through Grandma's old food processor. It's pretty good, but there's still a bit of chunks in there. I'm gonna put it out, take it out a little bit at a time, put it in my smaller 4-cup processor and see if I can't get this down a little bit further before I push it through my sieve. So this is what our apple stuff looks like before I run it through here. It's almost like a really chunky applesauce. So let's spin it and see what happens. That ran for about 30 seconds. It's a little bit more pureed. I'll probably run it for about a minute, minute and a half total. Then we're gonna toss it in another pot and run it through a sieve. As you can tell, you know, there's still pieces of the peel, some seeds floating around, but we're gonna push this through our metal sieve and we're gonna push it from there into the sieve, into this pot. All right, so here we've got our fine mesh sieve, our what will be apple butter. And all we need to do now is take spoonfuls of this stuff and we got to push it through here. Just like you would to get seeds out of strawberries or blackberries or any of that stuff. We're going to push it and push it and push it and push it. And then on the other side, what we're going to end up having is what is left over or what is going through instead of this chunky stuff here. So that right there is what we got. This is what it looks like once it comes out. A nice pudding type consistency. So I'm going to go ahead and do this whole big old thing. Then we'll move on to starting on the cooking. All right, that's what we've got right now. It looks like there's still a little bit of crap in it. I don't know what that is. It's out now. And this is the leftovers. I'm going to push this through my sieve just one more time, but lightly, and see if I can get any more. And then we're going to pop it into the stainless steel and get ready to cook it. So we've got about a half a cup extra after squeezing that through the sieve. So we'll go ahead and put that in here. And now we can finally start making this apple butter. Got everything in there. That almost looks like tomato paste. Okay, so we're going to add our sugars. We've got down the bottom 2.5 cups of white, 1 1/4 of dark brown sugar, 1 1/4 of light brown sugar. We're going to dump it all in here, stir it around, but we'll do that after we add all these spices we have here. So we're going to be using 2 teaspoons of cloves, ground cloves. I'll be using 2 teaspoons of ground allspice. And then we're going to be using 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. Once we've got everything in here, I'm going to grab my spoon and we're going to mix all that around, get it combined, turn it on to a medium-low heat, and let it slowly start blending everything together. Then we'll bring it up to a high heat, get it to boil, then drop it back down, let it go for about 30 minutes, and then we'll can it. All right, I am running this burner on a 3. Now I'm just going to get all this and see if we can't get it to smooth in together. Blend real nice. And then we'll let it cook, like I said, for probably about 25-30 minutes, but we're going to bring it to a boil. And then lower it back down to a medium-low heat and let it simmer. Let me get this spoon that'll kind of smash stuff up a little bit. Break that stuff down a little better than that side scraper. Yeah, that's looking a lot better now. Let's see how this tastes. Oh my God. Whew, that's to die for. Alrighty, it's been going for about 30 minutes. I'm going to keep it constantly stirred, make sure it doesn't stick. But look at that. That's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to put this in our jars, which just finished boiling. I want to make sure this tastes just as good as it smells. So let's see. Oh my God. Dude, that is so freaking good. Oh, burn my mouth on care. All right, just like with any of our stuff that we're canning, we're going to leave some headspace at the top of each one of the jars. What we're going to do here, pour it in. Man, this is just the most absolute beautiful, delicious apple butter. And once it's cooled down, you know, it'll be more spreadable. It won't be quite as runny as what this looks. Even though it's not really runny, it's still kind of thick. But once it's cooled down, it'll have that more of a apple butter consistency that you're used to. We're going to fill them all up to about right there. So that was supposed to make 12 half pints. So I thought, well, I'll use 6 pints because 12, 2, 6, yeah. No, it ended up making 8. But the reason I'm showing you here is we've got to make sure whenever we're doing our canning to wipe off the top of our jars. We're going to get them on here and line them up. Like I've said before, I'm anal and my labels face all one direction. Whatever. Put your lid on and hold the lid in place while you put on the ring. Spin it on there. We'll just get that finger tight. And that's it. I'll finish them up, show you the water bath. So remember, whenever you're filling up your water bath canner, we'll go about 1 inch above the tops of these jars. And then we're going to set it to high, get it to a boil. We're going to let these boil for 15 minutes. And then we're going to swap them out with the other 4 and check everything, make sure it all seals. All right, that wraps up yet another episode of Brent's Backyard Redneckery. You know, this apple butter to me is absolutely amazing. So if you guys want to make this apple butter, you can use pretty much any apple you want. I prefer one that's a little bit tart. Some people like them more sweet. You can make it with whatever you want, but I will leave the recipe in the description in case you want to try it yourself. But if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, come back next time. I'll tell you what you need to do. Y'all have a good one.